I want you to know, Albie.
It's funny how much I can hear your voice in that song.
I know, believe me. That was the problem. That's one of the problems. We've got a problemo, Dan. Hey, Dan, you're not Dan. Dan's going to be on with me tomorrow on Shattuck Show. Dan Moressi.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I'll go through it for you. Albie, young lady, apologize for us being so tired last night. You probably weren't able to tell through all the professionalism happening, but by the time we were in the Patreon section, that was just I've never faded so badly. I also want to know why me and my son over the weekend both had migraines and we never get them. And I heard some show talking about some lady, conversational theorist, what's that called? Conspiracy theorist, saying that there was indeed no rain happening over Texas, but there was this high pressure front that accounted for all the migraines. So I'm thinking something's up here.
Really?
Yes. Okay, are you ready, Allison?
Is like Marjorie Taylor Greene's bill about not letting people control the weather? Is that going to address this?
Does she have a bill?
I think so. I think she introduced a bill to prevent people from trying to control the weather.
Oh, maybe. Okay, so let's go back in time together a little bit. Here's my friend Dan Bongino. A little bit ago.
About a year and a half after that, I'm in a green room at Fox, and I'm not going to say who because they didn't give me permission to share it, but the short story, but not who they are. Says, Epstein's an intelligence asset for people in the Middle East, right? I'm like, no, I didn't know that. I'm like, you sure of that? The person, let's say, is like, I'm absolutely sure of that he's either a witting or unwitting asset, intelligence asset, meaning his plane and that island, the cameras, there's a big assumption out there that these videotapes were exclusively in the custody of Epstein. That's a huge mistake. The reason they wanted this story to go away is because there's an assumption like, oh yeah, Epstein had him. No, he wasn't the only one who had him, according to this source. These assets, that's why this blackmail story makes so much sense. Which Middle Eastern countries they are, I don't know. But this person, who's a very, very good reporter, I mean, aces, right?
I tend to doubt it.
Swore Epstein was either a witting or unwitting intelligence asset, and they may have had his plane wired up, and they're the ones who have all this stuff.
Okay, yeah, that was the old take from him. Everybody seems to have an old take of one kind or another.
So I think what's interesting right now, though, is that the people who are in charge at the DOJ are people who had been talking about the Epstein list. So if you don't know, which I think most people on here probably do, Pam Bondi has come out and says there is no Epstein client list.
After saying that there was a huge pile of stuff on her desk, Habiba Bibi, the hottie, also said that they had
Alina Habba.
They were sitting on it, and everybody seemed to think around Trump that there was in the world, and it seems odd that Epstein had to be in jail facing. There seems to be no evidence of anybody who ever slept with any of these girls other than a light ribbon to Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew. Other than that, nobody slept with all these girls, and we can't identify any of them or ruin anybody's life whatsoever, and nobody has to go to jail at all other than Ghislaine Maxwell. So, I mean, what the frig is this? Bull. The guy didn't kill himself. Can we agree he didn't kill himself?
I mean, Dan Bongino says no.
Yeah,
says he didn't kill himself. Says there's no conspiracy.
Yep.
I mean,
the guy who almost everybody in America, in the government and on the streets, was saying, this guy, you got to look out because somebody's going to try to kill this guy or there could be self-harm. We should make sure we're watching him. Suddenly, well, what? Oh, yeah, we left the door unlocked.
Yeah, no, so I don't think he killed himself. I think like the Clintons in particular are known for being incredibly fortunate with people around them disappearing at convenient times for the Clintons.
Wow, Alice. Pizzagate Alice.
I mean, I tried to state that in as uncontroversial way as possible because, I mean, I think that that's like about all that's provable at this moment in time. I guess my question is, and like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, Epstein didn't kill himself. Like, that's like an edgy and new take, right? Because I think that a lot of people have had that take, including, by the way, the people running stuff at the FBI right now. So I think that this raises kind of a bigger question, which is one of two things must be happening. Or I guess you could phrase it as one of three things. First of all, it could be true. He killed himself. They've seen the footage. They know it's true. He absolutely killed himself. There's no there. It's all just a silly conspiracy theory. That's option one. Option two is that they are now like in on it, the cover up for some reason, and they're like traitors.
Right. They're compromised. Right.
And I suppose option three is that, which I suppose is the most like benefit of the doubt option here, is that Epstein didn't kill himself, but they've like found out more side contextual information that means that that's why we can't tell the American people this, right? That they know something we don't know that they can't say, and that's why this is really important actually, that we like continue this cover up. So I mean, I don't know which of the three things that it is, but I think that this is kind of a turning point for this whole narrative and people's view of this administration, because it's now become clear what I think a lot of people suspected all along, which is that this is not the administration that is going to confirm everyone's conspiracy theories, release everything, show that everyone was right about the JFK assassination and the Epstein files and the moon landing and aliens and whatever else. Like, there's not going to be some big reveal of something coming out of this administration. And this administration has tried to play that role. You know, they
the
had
role of
Kennedy,
the people, the sunlight is the best disinfectant role.
They had Kennedy out here saying he's going to, release all this proof about the assassinations once he's in there, that Trump is going to get down to the bottom of it. They had all these people saying Epstein didn't kill himself, and then going and running the department that would find that out and saying there's no there. So this and they've tried to play this role, because Pam Bondi a couple months ago was handing out binders and telling influencers that they had the Epstein files. That's a bad look. And so there's sort of a big up in the air question to me, which is, where do you politically go from here? Obviously, nothing's going to come out further to confirm or deny anything for anybody.
Well, isn't that the point? Actually, I think you just revealed the whole thing. Is it Pam Bondi handed out Pam Bondi? I like that too. Pam Bondi handed out the fake Trapper Keepers that said Epstein files to all the Jack Posobiec and all the other people who are
DC Drano and
all the big influencers who are super rock stars now. And it was just dummy material, because there's nothing to find. There's nothing to show. And they were hoping that these guys would become evangelists for that stuff and just say, yeah, no, it outlines. But it was a whole bunch of nothing. And they knew from the moment one that they've got nothing. I would think that the point of it is, with the Kennedy stuff, with all of the stuff, is that the people with something to hide originally cut off the information and cauterized it with a flame, so that you go looking and searching, and it becomes every other charred dead end after every other charred dead end. I'm sure it's a morale killer to have to do the digging, because it's dead end after dead end after redundancy, after deflection. And I think that it's probably that there's not the thing that they need to find is not there as they needed to be constituted.
Well, yeah, I think that's probably part of the problem, but I also think that they like overhyped and oversold initially. Clearly they did what they were going to be able to do. And I'm just curious how that plays out. Like, how does Trump keep Bondi in there after the embarrassment of the back and forth on this?
Well, even after that, because he's winning right now with other stuff, maybe, because he's got a hot hand right now. But it's short. It's funny because maybe Trump keeps around because of this. This guy named unnamed location with a blue check mark, which doesn't mean anything anymore. It says married, proud dad of 3, grandfather of 7, believe in the American dream, joyous. I don't even know what his. Well, I think he's probably a disenfranchised Republican like Bill Kristol, probably. But he tweeted to me after I complained about Pam Bondi and these other people. He came after me and said on Twitter, Tom, it was Trump's administration that just said F off to all his voters. It is Trump's Justice Department. He is involved, perhaps not in the sex, etc., but it is his administration. It is on him. And that guy's obviously assuming he's trying to break my fever of MAGA cult, fever, which doesn't exist. But that kind of person out there is the kind of person who's saying, now do you see? Now do you see? Now do you see? And I don't think Trump wants to water those weeds at all. The now do you sees.
Well, yeah, but I think there's a lot of MAGA people who are not going to be convinced by Bongino and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi going out here and saying there's nothing there.
Yes, and those same people are not going to condemn Trump for this.
Right.
I don't think so. I don't think that this makes Trump's hands dirty whatsoever. I think Trump's been effective at compartmentalizing.
What do you think, to tie in one more, what do you think about Trump saying that he's very satisfied with the Butler, Pennsylvania investigation finding?
I think Trump is convinced by institutional professionals, and I think that he has a sense for when they're bull bleeping him or not. And I think face to face, and remember, the rest of us, the Trump family loves these Secret Service people who didn't seem to know how to use guns or anything. You know, they've shouted them out
even
before.
like the 4-foot-tall woman.
Yeah, the one who had no idea what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that on a close personal level, I think that that's how he really feels. And he doesn't care if there's consistency with the base about... He doesn't have to be consistent whatsoever. He doesn't. Like, he has done so much for his followers that...
I mean, but is this another case of, like, him not going all the way? Like, are we once again not going to fully drain the swamp, not going to get to the bottom of anything? And does this disappoint, ultimately, all the people who were who saw Trump as, like, the one person who could do this stuff?
You would think it would disappoint, because remember the story was that last time, and this frightens the left, obviously. The story was that last time he hired all the professional class from D.C., and so they were the safeguard against him. You know, they wouldn't really do stuff that he asked. But now the exciting thing for Team Trump was that this is the MAGA crowd, so they haven't been...
You literally have, like, YouTuber, or I guess Dan Bongino is like a radio TV host. I don't know what to call it.
He was in the uniformed Secret Service, I think.
Like,
yeah.
But, like, running the FBI, like, people who believe the same stuff as you. So, either none of it was true to start with, or these people are a disappointment, or, you know, Trump's a disappointment. And so I don't see how this, like, plays with that group. Do they all just, like, forget it and go away if the economy gets good?
Well,
like, part of me thinks, like, the normal voters at least
would certainly
feel
think
that way. But
that the way it was done Sunday night, and it's not really a Sunday night news dump because it hits for the news cycle Monday morning. So the time to do it was July 4th.
Right.
Around, like, 8:13 p.m. Eastern when all the fireworks are going off. That's when you dump this. When everybody's too drunk to be noticing anything else but pictures of other fireworks. But so why did they do it in that way? In knowing that the many people in the base care about this stuff, why would you do it? Why would Pam Bondi not be taking questions? Why wouldn't, like, why would you do it this way in such a dismissive fashion? Oh, yeah, it's over.
There's no Epstein list.
Yeah, it has to be fun. And also, there's, like, actually, Tom Fitton had a good breakdown. If you listen to the wording that's in the statement, it leaves a lot of wiggle room, which is not what you want. It's Tom Fitton today with Steve Bannon.
I don't know. I read the memo 3 or 4 times again this morning, and it's
Tom Fitton's with Judicial Watch, which is a
Mm-hmm.
professional FOIA-ing organization. They do good work.
It's really, I don't think even the Biden administration would have written anything like this. I just don't think they could have thought they could get away with it. And I got to wonder what is going on at the leadership of the Justice Department and the FBI to allow them to think that statements like as follows. This is a classic. Of course, we're suing for this stuff, right? And so they say the systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So there's a client list, but it's not incriminating,
Right.
so therefore you can't see it. There is also no credible evidence that found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. Well, give us the incredible evidence. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. So they uncovered evidence, but it wasn't enough to predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. So you can go line by line and kind of, go through this analysis that I'm going through. It may be unfair or overly critical, but in my view, unless you have the records to back up the conclusions you've drawn in a case such as this isn't worth much.
And I think he's totally right. And it reminds me of Obama with the Bin Laden assassination.
Mm-hmm. Just trust me, bro.
Yeah, I saw it. I can tell you it happened. I've seen the pictures. But he was too, because they got to be overly nuanced. Him and all of the Pod Save bros and Ben Rhodes, they had to think above what the normal man would think. Like maybe the people in New York City deserve to see this dead bastard. So nobody got to see it. And just trust me. No. We want to see the work. We want to see stuff. We want to see what you did. I'd like to see video of what you did. I want to see everything. And like this.
So I'm wondering, though, do you think that there is evidence that could convince anybody? Because it's impossible to prove a negative, right? You can't prove there's not evidence of something. You can only prove that there is evidence of something. So, for example, like, what would prove that Epstein killed himself to that, like, group of people? Would it need to be like the actual video of him shredding his sheet and using it?
Sure.
I don't know. What would it
like
take?
A guy who really seemed like he might be the kind of guy.
Would people just say it was made with AI and just not be convinced anyway?
I don't know, but like his camera didn't work. If all the people didn't move his cell, his dudes went out in the smoke break and just like weren't around. It's highly unbelievable that a guy who had the goods on everybody would just decide to be honorable and suicide himself. He seems to be the kind of guy who first of all, he'd already done one stretch, right, by then?
Mm-hmm.
He seems to be the kind of guy who loved life and the creature comforts of life very, very much. And what I don't understand is if there's video of Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, whoever being sexual with a 14-year-old, then I think that we should be able to positively ID the perpetrator, not the 14-year-old, obviously. And they're like, we can't release this because it's child pornography. No, you can find a way to make this work.
Yeah. So, and Tommy in the chat said, why was he in jail at all? For what? And I've seen people ask this question about Ghislaine Maxwell, Maxwell, whatever, however we're saying her name. The charges that they're in there for is trafficking girls to Epstein. So in his case, for sleeping with the underage girls, and in her case, for helping bring him the underage girls.
Right.
They're not
Did
in
anybody
trouble.
ask her in court, by the way? Can you just give us some names and details? Why is this the thing that nobody can know?
What's weird to me is like she's right there. So
right.
To say you have no evidence when she's right there is like mind-boggling to me because she knows everything.
Don't put it past her.
Like Epstein is obviously gone.
Don't put it past her to be in her cell, have the security guards walk off, have the video not work, and then hang herself. Why wouldn't you? Worked the first time.
I mean, yeah, but that's the thing is that like you can sit here and say like there's no evidence, but you have one of the key people involved in it like right here. So there should be interviews where they're like trying to catch her at something, you would think, right?
Yes.
So that you can hold something over her, like perjury charges. I mean, this is what Biden's DOJ wasn't afraid to do with all the Trump people. And with the January 6th people, to go after them on the smallest of stuff to try and hold it over them to like get more out of them and incriminate them more. Like, isn't that what you do when you're trying to find something out? I don't know. It's an interesting dilemma, and to some degree, like, powerful people always get away with everything. So part of me is like, same as it ever was, a little bit.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. I mean,
like, Ted Kennedy killed a girl, literally.
Yeah.
And just continued on in the Senate, and like everybody loved him.
Yeah.
He wasn't even like embarrassed day to day.
Right.
So, like, what we're gonna pretend that there's some kind of.
By the way, killing the girl for Ted Kennedy was not rock bottom.
Yeah.
He didn't miss his beat. He rock and rolled through the 70s and the 80s, and because sometimes you have the safe veil of having your brother being murdered in front of everybody. And by the way, like, had the media not gotten their hands on the Zapruder tape, we also wouldn't have seen that by now.
Mm-hmm.
And how did somebody not show the Bin Laden tapes? Picture by now. But
yeah, you would think that would have leaked at
like,
this point.
As far as like it is very inside Trump baseball. I think that we're disappointed in Team Trump for this, and not the way that the left wants us to be. They want us to be the final, aha, now do you see?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what it is. I mean, I think that I had, and I think you too, had given up on any of this magical revelations from any of this stuff months ago.
Right. Yeah, no, when the binders came out, it became clear that we were not being serious with this stuff.
Right. Right. And another problem was, I think that Team Trump being Team America gets a little too rah-rah in professional wrestling sometimes now, and which is why the Christy Noam stuff and everybody's a badass in their own way. And it's like a cringy thing. Like I like the administration, and I haven't not ticked down one bit from where I was. As a matter of fact, more so in these last months has been incredible. But I think members of the administration saw what he went through, saw what he got up after being shot, and was like defiant, and they just see how he's indefatigable and such a force, and they're like, oh, so we should be little Trumplets, and all act like our small version of him, and so they get into LARPing, and it's silly, and it's not helpful when you're LARPing goes sideways and you come up shorthanded.
Yeah, it's people underestimate how good Trump is at this, or how lucky he is, or whatever. Mm-hmm. That every time he's seeming to go out on a limb and say something, he's proven right shortly afterwards. And so I think a lot of people think you can just boldly and brashly say stuff without having anything to back it up, and it will all work out fine. But that doesn't actually work out fine for lots of people.
It doesn't. There's no way Tom Homan could be able to act like Tom Homan if he wasn't getting all the incredible results he's getting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is over the top kind of dude, threatening to arrest, every mayor.
Although he still doesn't film videos starring himself of him riding a four-wheeler.
Exactly. He doesn't do that. But he's like getting the job done. I'll say the thing about Scott Bessent still as well. I think Rubio, but Rubio was never a behavior problem. But some of these others, just like, it's like, what are you doing? Unless they're all just simply beginning their presidential campaigns, which some of them probably are. I think Robert F. Kennedy has been great. I think he's shown the way he carries himself is great. But we'll
see. He has a crowd of people that he could end up disappointing too. He's made some pretty strong claims on like what can be proven. about vaccine effects and the vaccine schedule that, like, he went out earlier this year and said by August he's going to prove what causes autism. So he's, he's run his mouth a little bit about stuff he's going to do. So it remains to be seen, like, will he actually be able to back that up with evidence and facts and turning some of these things around? Like, I know that he's done this stuff in terms of, like, banning things and changing schedules and doing some of this stuff. He got rid of the Red 40 or whatever, but I just wonder, has he gone out on a limb further than he can back up when push comes to shove with evidence? Like, I don't know the answer to that.
Probably, but that's what happens. You get in as an activist. He was a radical activist. You get in as an activist, and suddenly you're a full-time manager. All the easy MSNBC hits about the climate disaster and everything, that's out the window. He's got a gig now. And, he's dealing with some serious people. Mm-hmm. I think I have faith in him. I just get a good feeling from him. I also think Hegseth is doing fine. You can tell me that there's chaos or whatever. I think he's doing fine.
Yeah, I don't think anything's wrong with how Hegseth is doing. And he hasn't, like, done anything really or made any big claims, And
there's LARPing, and then there's jogging in Kuwait with American troops at 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's different. That's not LARPing. That is good photo ops. Hegseth's a guy to do it. He's a guy's guy.
Well, and that's like the stuff, too. Liberals were all mad in the early 2000s when, Bush wore whatever he wore, like a fighter pilot jacket or something. Yeah. I forgot what it was. And, like, the mission accomplished sign and this stuff. But he was doing it for the troops to see and stuff. He was doing it for morale. It wasn't really for consumption for angry liberals at home.
Well, right. Not the point also happened to be a flight suit, and he was steering the plane for some time. So I have bad news, though, which is that in a couple minutes I have to take our daughter. Okay, is that 7:35?
It's at 7:45, but it's in Methuen.
Oh!
It's that one.
Oh, that's rough.
Okay, well, I'm going to do it, but
Should we do the chat then quickly, and then I'll get back? Or no?
Whichever way you want to do it.
Let's see what we got here. Oh, there's only one, so there we go. Makes it nice and easy. And then you're going to take off?
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing that we'll hit when I get back then is... Karen Bass in L.A. The L.A. went through MacArthur Park. ICE went through MacArthur Park picking up illegals because that's their job. And she confronted them. And they seem to have relinquished, like, let her win the day. But Homan said that they'd be back all over L.A. But they need to arrest her. They need to start arresting, continue arresting Democratic politicians. Anybody else who got in the way would be a problem. Arrest them. Book her, throw her cuffs, and throw her away, and just be relentless. Be cyborgs about this stuff.
Let me get this straight. Epstein didn't kill himself. JFK bumped his head. The moon landing was directed by Stanley Kubrick, and the Earth is flat. These are all new things that I'm going to have to get used to.
The Earth is flat. There's no doubt about that. Or else we'd fall off. That's called science. So can't really argue with that whatsoever. That's also. Are you a moon landing believer?
I think that the moon landing happened.
Will you be taking the big car or the little car?
The little car.
Really?
I like it better.
There's no air conditioning, Alice. It's 92. Think of your little passenger friend.
I don't like to be in that big car.
I know, but she's going to want to... You're going to mess up her hair. Okay, you can go. I'm going to play Karen Bass. Or as you call her, Karen Bass Ackwards. Thank you, Alice.
Good one, honey.
Thank you. Here we go. Here's Karen Bass. That is not Karen Bass. Here's Karen Bass. Or as my wife calls her, Bass Ackwards. Right? Mm-hmm. Press conference today.
Well, I call it a political stunt. If you want to call it a dog and pony show, go right ahead. Same thing.
With this going on for more than a month now, are you starting to feel like you're not even in control of the situation, or is there a feeling of helplessness that...
No, I will never feel helpless, and I don't think anybody here feels helpless. That's not in our DNA. We're going to continue fighting.
Summer of resistance. NRC started the summer.
Mayor Bass, he's calling for you to get used to it. What is your...
I'm not going to get used to it. I'm not going to get used to it because last I checked, I was elected to be mayor of the city. That did not include a federal takeover. So either you believe in democracy or you don't.
I consider that a challenge, so go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. Stop the feds from doing their rightful jobs and in prosecuting the law. That is precisely their job. That is what they're supposed to do. They can do it in your state anywhere they want. Or you can choose not to help them, but if you hinder them, you should be arrested. And I hope every politician in LA is arrested and booked. Well, getting back to the Epstein stuff, they let him have it today in the press room, and that's good too. Peter Ducey, down there giving it to Carolyn Levitt.
That's transparency.
Follow up on that,
Sure.
Caroline. Okay, so the FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox
I've
News.
got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was
What?
saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation going on right now called Summer Heat, which has our murder rate trending in the lowest direction in United States history. Their emphasis on violent crime and locking up violent criminals has led to the arrest of 14,000 violent criminals. That's a 62% increase from the same time.
Now she's doing the core job of the press secretary. What are you going to do? They're spinning. They didn't have the goods. They're spinning. They don't have the goods on the candidate or won't show us the goods, like Alice was saying, for whatever reason. Maybe they saw some big golden, the suitcase in Pulp Fiction, some big golden truth in the back room, and said, oh, I see why everybody keeps this quiet. Maybe they saw it. I don't know. But I am not surprised that these politicians in D.C. are politicianing and flacks are flacking. That's what they do. That's what they do. I think with Trump, we're getting the best version of the anti-swamp president, the populist president, the outsider as possible. But he's also a guy who works the phones now. And you saw the one big beautiful bill. It's 1,000 horse trading exercises going on in there, and that's how things work in D.C. It is, and to think that, I know that some of you, to one degree or another, and I'm there with you, and a lot of it, like we don't believe in institutions anymore because they've been proven to be incredible, and we saw what they did with COVID, and I'll never. For me and probably you, the CDC used to mean something. The CDC those were the disease people. Not anymore. Not when they use their charter against the American people. No, these people are activists, and it's the same thing with the FDA. And it's the same thing with many of our institutions. And Washington D.C. is a progressive place, and the progressives are going to get to work in government. Pushing paper and being part of the fluorescent light brigade. And so it's an uphill battle. It is. But it is what it is. It's incredibly the day-to-day in Washington, D.C., and even for the Trump people who are having to go through treaties with foreign countries and this and that, it's not all rallies and proud to be an American. Lee Greenwood's not there every second. They got to do some mundane government work like every other administration. And so I give them I don't hold it against them at all. I think they're doing a hell of a good job. I think that that we'll see what happens with the Putin stuff because Putin is challenging Trump. I thought the hit on Iran was good. Iran are the bad guys. Those mullahs suck. They've been a pain forever. The economy is showing much better signs than really anybody thought it would. I think that these tariff scares are over. It seems that they're over. And that I think the American economy is going to boom. I think that he had to. The main thing in the Big Beautiful Bill is that he had to keep the tax cuts. Those are in there. And then there's some money for ICE. And the guy said he was going to do the border. And for the next person, it's not going to look so harsh having border security, because you could put all that passion and fear and anger and dump it all on Trump. He was willing to take it because the guy's got a freaking shark brain. He's unemotional about these things. And you need a guy who's unemotional to come in and stand up against the choir, the hurricane-sized choir of detractors and alarmists who are out here trying to keep the country staggering and keep the country on its knees. And so I will take Donald Trump. I'm thrilled so far with his presidency. I'm very pleased. And I think that he will leave the country better than when he got to it. That said, yeah, somebody at some point there needs to be a Trump, but a Trump who's based on the national debt, because this is going to be no bueno. Because if there are austerity measures in this country, the left's not going to help out with those. They are going to say that the Nazis are trying to take away your free stuff, and they're going to encourage people to take to the streets, and who knows what happens. Who knows what happens? You know, we had the American Revolution, but other places had the French Revolution. And you rile the people up enough and convince them that they're being tread upon, then it can go a couple of ways. So we'll see. Let's see. What else did I have in here? I wish I had it. I don't have. Let me see. Do I have? Where is the? I have Patreon. I'm right in here. Let me see if I can get over here and see. Is it Patreon or it's Rumble where the chat is, right? Let's see if I can go over here to Rumble if there's anything I should be checking into. There's a screenshot of me when I was a lot thinner. Episode 1302. That's 3 days ago. Where am I? Sign in, right? That'll get me the live thing, right? Oh, no. I can just follow the link. Yeah, hold on. Let me follow the link. I tweeted it out. Oh, here we go. There we go. Live stream. And there we go. Live stream. That's right. No, it's just the right time. 6:40. There we go. Okay. What is this happening here? Yeah, it is really MacArthur Park. I thought that was a song by like Chicago or something, MacArthur Park. Let's see. Total random encounter. I have a vague memory of Howie calling him fat. It was Fatso Kennedy. He called him Fat Boy Kennedy. It's one of the reasons why Kennedy wanted to get him the Herald away from Rupert Murdoch. Did you ever get a secondhand drunk off the sheepish fumes of Teddy? My dad liked Teddy Kennedy. He was a lobbyist for small businesses, so he worked with Teddy Kennedy and liked him. I don't think he loved Bobby. That's right, because he cried. He said he cried when Bobby got shot. He seemed to be about 5'7". I think Teddy was around 6 feet. Brick bleep house, broad shoulders, not a really fat tub of goo. Yeah, Ted Kennedy was more honorable kind of fat than I am. Just being honest, couldn't stand the a-holes. The character in his politics, I get you right there. MacArthur Park, yes. I'm going to need to hear that on 7/19. That's. Oh, by the way, you can still get tickets. Just email the Burn Barrel podcast. I think there's some film left. British actor Richard Harris recorded MacArthur Park. Really? There is this awesome video of Richard Harris and Peter O'Toole drunk together. There's like a bunch of them. These guys seem like fantastic. Does Tom now have control of the chat? Watch out if he does. We're about to go off the rails. Here we go. Tom, new big league tariffs today. Oh, are there new big league tariffs? Let the games made disco by Donald Trump. Are there new tariffs? Did I miss some tariffs? I think that the tariff chaos is over. Yeah, maybe. So President Trump sent this letter off to Japan. I did see this. Forms there will be a 25% on tariffs to do business in the United States. Transshipments will be tariffed higher. And if they retaliate, the tariff will just go 20%, 25% higher. Ends with a potential off-ramp. This guy, man, he does business. He does business with a sledgehammer. David Stockman, who I've interviewed and bragged about, says these are the words of an unhinged madman. In 2024, U.S. exports to South Korea were $82 billion and faced a modest South Korean tariff. Who knows? I don't know what he's doing. His tariff negotiations seem to be rather chaotic. But the one with China is still safe, right? Opposing Korea because trade deficits that it claims are engineered by Korea's tariff and non-tariff. I don't know how this stuff works. I let Scott Bessent say it in a nice, calming, loving manner, and so I don't know. I'm done knowing what how tariffs really work. Done. I'm not thinking anymore. Donna Summer, who grew up right down the street, by the way, from Mike Giannino. Oh, I shouldn't have given his last name. Mike G, my big tall friend Mike, who was there for almost everything that happened in the 90s, including Paul. All right. I guess that's it. For now. I'll see you in Shattuck Show. I'm having a friend of mine named Dan Morassi on tomorrow. He is an activist. He's been a candidate for a few seats in Connecticut. Young guy. He's kind of like a new breed of young conservative. He's what these blue states need, and totally committed. He's read up. You'll like him. Everybody likes Dan Morassi, and he is. If there's a way for the future for blue state Republicans, then it's guys like this. But thank you for being so darn fantastic. Thanks. Please do, if you haven't gone to Shattuck Show, but many people have, actually. The numbers are really great for leaving a 5-star review. If you don't mind leaving a 5-star review, I know it's probably not worth 5 stars, but I appreciate if you do leave a 5-star review. That's good, they tell us. We do have I do have my own TikTok there, which I've been doing. I've been throwing. It's very interesting how TikTok works. They are not interested in objectifying Alice. I have not seen like a comment about Alice's appearance, and I've thrown out some chum there for the people of low moral character, because I figure some conservatives just like a nice attractive blonde conservative woman, and that's all it takes for them, like people like me. But they most TikTok folks really will want a story told, so it's very interesting. I do like using it. I don't care if the Chinese are spying on me. It can't possibly hurt my credit score. And there is a burn barrel Instagram. That's pretty much this stuff. And of course, I'm on Instagram as well. And I try to keep my Instagram mostly animals. And I'm on Facebook too. And I'll throw up my new Shattuck Show stuff on Facebook. I've got a lot of people who are Facebook friends who are. I stayed not political on there because I have a lot of people who are not doing well psychologically, and if I say something too explosive politically, so I leave Facebook to be, announcements about dead relatives and animals, really, for people. But actually, most of my TIC listeners were on Facebook as well. All right, guys, thanks so much for being so great. Wait, Tom, whatever happened to that young woman who was running for office the same year as Dan? Oh, Anastasia Yop. I think she might have gone. There was some infighting there. I'll get the gossip from Dan Morassi tomorrow if I can remember. Yeah, she was great. Furry Tom on Instagram. That is not true. That is incorrect. I like actual animals on Instagram. I like walking with them. I gotta walk though. I'm doing yard work though. I'm too far behind.
C'est la vie.
Sorry, here we go. Ready? Mm-hmm. All right, ready? Mm-hmm. If you're absolutely bored, you can just hear me cutting the audio. and uploading. I'll check in with the chat in a second. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thanks, Julie. Phil, do you guys ever try those chiladas, by the way? I got in trouble with Alice. Well, I won't say. Well, maybe I will say. You guys you're our Patreon friends, so when I was first dating Alice, maybe you saw it, as a matter of fact. Anyway, it was a recent recent show. She sent me that when I was first dating her, she decided to harness the power of her being attractive in 23 and me being unattractive in 37. So she sent me some picture of her. She was either in like her underwear or bikini. It was a selfie, which is something like that people in her generation like did to each other like without a thought. But it wasn't distasteful. It was just, and I showed it to the camera, and so there you go. Not every guy, and this is to the guys out there, not every guy is as immature as me. So you are lucky. Some people would never do that. Okay, let's see. Wish I could show what I was doing. If that other camera worked. We are compressing the show right now with Adobe Audition. But I like those Modelo chiladas. It's the beer with tomato juice. Oh, so good. What do we call this episode? Damn, I should have gotten it from Alice.
Are now like in on it, the cover up for some reason, and they're like traitors.
Right, they're compromised, right.
And I suppose option 3 is that, which I suppose is the most like benefit of the doubt option here, is that Epstein didn't kill himself, but they've like found out more side contextual information that means that that's why we can't tell the American people this, right? That they know something we don't know that they can't say, and that's why this is really important actually that we like continue this cover up.
There you go. That's it. Were Alice's parents mortified that she was dating a much older guy? I gotta think the siblings must have been, and friends definitely. But no, I think her dad is from planet Klector 7, so he was not like. I was asking if permission to marry her, and he's like talking about particle physics. He's like he was. Her mother, I think, was not, because I think her mother listened to me on the radio. So so I had that like asterisk going there that I was cool. It was a brief. It was a brief disguise. So I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. My friends were definitely my close friends were like but all the guys thought it was great. Obviously, guys would, but like their wives were like, "You can't. This is not a serious thing. If she's 23, they can't have a. It's not a serious thing." And I was like, "Yeah, no, of course not." But the challenge was, and we only thought about the age difference for like 2 weeks. It obviously it worked out for me. For she was the one who was doing the unthinkable, but we had a lot of fun together. We had we would walk the Freedom Trail in the what's that trail that goes into Lexington and Concord. We were fans of history together. We explored different places together. So we were doing a lot of stuff, and we liked being together, regardless of like the rules, which meant that we couldn't. That she was way too young, so it didn't. And so like it's at one point, like early, it was like obviously like this doesn't really make any sense, considering like 4 years ago you were in high school, like but there was just too much fun hanging out, so didn't matter. So yeah, it's a very good question. Come on, here we go. 1303, right? Oh, 1304. Damn. I'm now typing the description of the show, which is usually what I do. Usually Alice is either now putting up the YouTube or she is down sending the kids off. Occurs to me that I think Alice met LB. We got to. Wasn't even the invite when I was at WTKK, and right before I get fired, like 2010 or whatever. An invite for Ernie Bach's Summer Bash came for John Dennis to TKK. So I opened it and RSVP'd as Tom Shattuck, and they said, "Okay, see you then. You can park in the back." I was like, "Okay." So we went to his bash, and I think LB was there. His bash was unbelievable, by the way. I have not been to a cool thing since. Like that. So this is uploaded in Acast now. That's the thing that throws it onto all of the platforms, except for Patreon. So I'm going to do that in Patreon right now. Patreon interface, by the way, is much quicker than anything else. It's really good. Episode 1, 1304. Hold on, I'll check the chat in a second. Here we go. Yeah, it's rough. My daughter has these play practices. She's jamming in one more play for the summer. Kills me. Practices have been, and these are run by young high school graduates. This one, they created their own theater company, And of course, they don't have kids, so they have no idea that having a practice from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. 4 times a week is freaking terrible. Oh. And then sometimes they'll have it from 5 to 9. This has affected the burn barrel. And at 8, she'll say, oh, they released us all early. It's like, nobody has any consideration, any idea what it's like to have kids. And now today's was even ridiculous, because today Alice is working here till like 6:30. She is jamming on her job. And tonight's play practice, is at 7:35. So she's dropping her off right now to 7:35. What the frig is this? Oh, freaking pisses me off. Oh, it does. Oh, here we go. Live shots until Alice gets back. Well, Alice will. Alice is an old soul. She is an old soul. Yeah, that's right. Huh. That's interesting that there's an ad for Acast. Because I would kind of think that would be kind of like a filler spot, because like, why would they be running spots for themselves? Like, what based on? I mean, nobody in this chat does a podcast. There seems to be an ad for Acast. Well, isn't she has started? Well, maybe it does listen. What theater owners? I'm missing this. You know, there are actual furries in both my kids' schools, the elementary school and the high school. All right, I don't think I'm going to touch them. Netanyahu is so good. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has just nominated President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. Dinner, he just presented Trump with the nomination letter. Netanyahu is a smooth dude. I've always loved him. I know not everybody does. Well, all right. Shall I let you go? Oh, Sally's Theater Group. Yeah. This place is, yeah. So they have, you know, we're in West Newbury, which is up next to Newburyport, Mass, and they're down. I mean, they have a few different places. One is in Methuen, which is a pain in the ass to get to. It's like, not that it's probably only 11 miles away, but it's not down the street. And then they're having a theater. Yeah, the theater group, yeah, is, they have sometimes in this old charming church from like 1810 in Haverhill, but it's got no AC in there. They've got no bathroom. What they had to do is take all the kids, all the theater kids, to a Dunkin' Donuts to use the bathroom in the middle, like in the middle of rehearsal. Makes me nervous thinking about it. Yeah, they are childless. They're all young. They're all, some of them are in their teens, I think. Huh. All right, let me check in, and then we'll call it a night. All right, guys. That's it for me, I think. I'm going to go shut off Alice's computer. I can't suck my fat in, so don't be judgmental in the chat.